I'm Key, a credit card, points and miles enthusiast and travel lover. On my channel, I discuss the mistakes I've made, my future travel goals, and overall credit journey since 2016. Be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already.
Good evening, everybody, or good afternoon, depending on where you're tuning in from. My name's Key, as I just mentioned. Today, I'm joined by my good friend Michael here, and essentially, we're going to talk about one of the many ways of travel hacking, and that involves timeshares. So, since I'll just say the post-COVID travel era, I typically spend around 2 million points a year, and for that time period, I've predominantly been a solo traveler. Um, More recently, I've definitely been getting into the more family travel, group travel, that types of thing. So that points balance needs to continuously replenish itself. And one of the ways of doing that is by attending timeshare presentations. So without further ado, I want to bring in Michael, but please be sure to subscribe to Michael's channel if you haven't already, and drop any questions you have for us in the comment section. And here we go.
Hey everyone, it's Michael here with Long Way Travels. Hey Key, how you doing?
What's up? Happy Monday. Happy Monday.
Indeed, Monday it is. Anyone in the NFL game right now? Because I crushed it in fantasy this weekend.
Wow. I didn't crush it in fantasy personally. I'm having a really bad year with fantasy, but my New England Patriots won, so that's brand new news because they don't typically win this year.
But no, I've been crushing it. I'm actually in one league. I'm in 7-1 dynasty. I made some trades. I'm going for it all right now. So we'll see.
Okay. Do you have like one player that's been like really steering your success? If you could nail it down to one person.
So dynasty wise, it's been Jahmyr Gibbs. He's been
Mm,
very consistent for a player who doesn't get all the carries, but it's just been killing it on the touchdowns and the receiving yards. So
very cool. Very cool. I mean, it's hard to didn't they score 50 something points yesterday? So I mean, it's not to love that. Awesome. Michael, please let's give it an introduction from you. Tell people where we can find you on YouTube and all that fun stuff, and then we can dive in.
yeah, so my name is Michael. I have a travel channel that basically is about, credit card strategies, hacking, how to maximize your points as you spend. And I also do a lot of travel videos, whether it's plane flight videos, vlogs of where I've been, and just showing you what you can do with your points and miles. And I've been doing this for over a year now and hope to produce more great content and, learn from a lot of great content creators such as Key as well in the space. So yeah, happy to be here and really appreciate, Key letting me join on the live today.
Excellent. No, I'm so impressed by your travels. We personally haven't met in person yet. However, Anthony Venture Discord is kind of where we kind of started our friendship, and one of these days we'll catch each other in an airport or a lounge or something, I'm sure. I gotta ask, can you tell us about some of like maybe your recent travels that you've done? And yeah, let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. So yeah, just recently I just came back from Japan a second time around and it was an amazing trip. I actually had to spend there a little bit longer. I spent 2 weeks in there and I was able to travel the north side, which is Hokkaido. And I did go back to the Tokyo area where I was able to just do a lot of day trips from going to Nara with the deers to Kobe to try the Kobe beef. And of course, you can never go wrong going back to Tokyo. Tokyo is just an amazing city to be at. Like if anyone's ever been there, you could spend 5, 7 days there, and it's not enough just because of how big it is and just the culture itself. So I really enjoyed the second time around, and I just let you know that when I did the second time around, I actually worked remotely for I think 3 days. I'm on the East Coast. Japan is about 13 hours ahead, so it was rough. I'm not used to it because I'm a morning person, so that means working till the early morning on the East Coast was pretty rough, but I made it work just for Japan and able to save some time off. So, but yeah, I mean, it was interesting too because it was a deviation from my usual travel because I didn't take a business class flight there. I took premium economy, and I gotta admit, you start to see the deviation from doing a lot of upper class travel to a less upper class, and 13 hours premium economy. I enjoyed the flight. It was a great product overall from Japan Airlines, but it was not what I was accustomed to. I didn't sleep a lot, so otherwise, like I said, that was my most recent trip. And then before that, I also went to Asia again. I did Taiwan as well, and that was amazing too. If you ever want to go to a place where like the food is just amazing, cheap, a lot of good things, I mean, definitely recommend Taiwan if you can get there. And I also tried a new airline too, Starlux, which was as advertised. It's a really great airline to try as well.
Absolutely amazing. So you went to Asia 2 times this year.
Yeah, so Asia kind of right
Wow.
now is like the year of Asia for me. But then next year I'm already starting to build. It's going to be mostly Europe for next year, but I'll finish off actually Asia next month when I go to Singapore, Korea, and Malaysia. So
That's amazing. Be sure to subscribe to Michael. If you have any interest in going to Asia, Michael's had some really great videos, not only showing the inside of these aircrafts, but how he's doing that, what cards are in his collection, and so forth. But that's amazing. I love it. I love it. Actually traveling, actually, putting the points to use is paramount to this. So awesome.
Key, what do you got going on? Do you got anything going on, Key?
Yeah, thank you for asking. Yeah, as far as my recent travels, just my goal is to travel at least once per month. So with that, been to Las Vegas recently. I went to the Space Coast in Florida, Dallas, Cleveland, and then New Orleans for the creator meetup. Those are like my most recent, I'll say like past month and a half, 2 months trips. Really excited, mostly used points for all of that. And overall this year, I was looking at I use Flighty. It's an app that you can track all your travels. I've done 65 different flights this year across 33 different airports and 8 different airlines, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool. So
That's amazing. I mean, geez, do you have in your travels, do you have any favorite like airports or airport lounges that you felt like was just over the top?
uh, I mean, just being able to go to an airport lounge is over the top. Like I didn't come from that type of background. Um, some of my favorite ones have actually been in Asia. Like there's a Hong Kong lounge. I'll have to get the name of it, but I think it's on the Plaza Premium suite. And yeah, that lounge was crazy. They were hand making noodles. They were, just making sure you had everything you needed there. I really enjoyed that. Favorite airport? No, I would imagine though, like my most traveled airport is Atlanta. So I just get comfortable in those Delta lounges, honestly, for the most part.
That's pretty cool. And out of all the travel you've done, which one did you like? You said you went to Cleveland, Florida, Dallas. Did you have anything that was just over the top or most exciting?
I'm coming in on wrapping up all of the Major League Baseball stadiums. So I gotta say, both Cleveland and Dallas, those are definitely, like, I know they're not like luxury locations, but just a part of my travel goal is to hit those. So I had a great time just exploring the city, met some cool people, explored some cool bars. So that's all I answer that one. Awesome. Hey, listen, we have quite a few people here this evening. I want to kind of transition into some credit card stuff specifically, and also the main event, which is all about timeshares. And I know we talked a little bit in New Orleans about timeshares, and even before leading up to New Orleans. I really wanted to talk today and just kind of feed off each other, give the people some tips and tricks that we've maybe both learned, that we've shared. Before doing that, I want to make sure there's going to be plenty of people in here to hear that. Let's talk about maybe our cards that we've most recently acquired, downgraded, or canceled. Anything on your roadmap that you've just gotten or canceled or downgraded?
Yeah, thanks, Key. So recently, I think at the end of August, right before that elevated Chase Ink Preferred, I got the 120K offer, which I'm going to be honest, I didn't even know it. I think it ended right during Labor Day. So I got that 1K offer for 8,000 spent for the Chase Ink Preferred. My first Chase Ink business card. I was finally under 524, and it took 2 recon calls, an adventure, with Experian, but it worked out. So I met that. And then also in just with the whole, I don't know, maybe with you, but being with proper taxis and stuff like that, I also got the Alaska Air's business card, which I felt like it's a great card. I use it for work and personal Alaska Air, and then the miles to me are just they're they're so valuable, at least for like where you want to go, especially like West Coast domestically or Asia or even Hawaii. It's very, very important. So, and with the merger with Hawaiian, like it makes it even more, I guess, just more versatile, I guess. So those are two cards I got recently in the last maybe 4 months.
Okay. Can we talk on that just for a second? Because I think that there's probably a misconception that you can only use Alaska Airlines miles for Alaska or Hawaii Air miles just to travel to Hawaii. Maybe you could tell us some ways that maybe you've used some of those points and miles from Alaska.
Yeah, for Alaska, like so I actually used that the recent trip to Japan Airlines when I used Alaska Air, I used 40,000 Alaska Air miles to go to Japan. Premium economy was 40,000 Alaska
Wow.
Air points. And I think the key to understand is that once you understand the airlines and their alliances, that's how you can start kind of deciding what flights you want to use. And so Alaska Air being part of One World, it's got a very strong partnership with those airlines such as, Hawaiian or American,
Hmm.
Japan, Qatar, Iberia. So it makes it very valuable in that aspect because I mean, it just think about it. Like you can only get Alaska Air miles up until that merger through Alaska Air cards and
Hmm.
the versatility. And then domestically, you can take it obviously to the West Coast, and then just in general other parts of the world. At least in my opinion, I haven't used Alaska Air yet, but I know you can take it like I would thought about taking like Alaska Air miles to Germany. You can transfer it for like I think
Hmm.
Condor. So it's very versatile in that aspect. You can just do it in general. That's why I like Alaska Air. And I honestly, One World is my favorite airline alliance. At least I don't know about you, but you may have different
Okay.
opinions. Which airlines do you like?
Okay. Yeah, no, it sounds like definitely One World fits your needs for sure, especially traveling to Asia and Europe as frequently as you do. I'm going to say a free agent. Whoever's going to get me there the fastest is typically how I roll. I don't really care to chase status or anything like that. Um, and that's why I collect a lot of transferable currency cards or just flexible kind of cards like that. Okay. Any cards you've canceled recently or downgraded?
I mean, maybe the audience could help me out here. I've got some material. It's kind of film, not really film.
Uh-huh.
It's a very popular card. It's the very infamous one and done business card that I think a lot of people use in the MX space. And I'm still like, I like it, but I'm not, I don't know. But the increased annual fee, I know you know where I'm getting at. Going back and forth, my decision is basically this week. I've tried recon calls. It's been pretty bad. Uh, hasn't been really good at all. So at that point, if that card is canceled, it would be my first actual card canceled, business or
Mhm.
personal.
Oh
At
wow,
least,
ever. Like
yeah.
ever. Oh wow.
And I'm just like deciding if that business gold card is worth that crazy annual fee. And I max it out. I max it out with the monthly credit. I max it out with the
Yeah.
Walmart Plus. But and then the different multiplier change from 2025. But it's just like I think like I was doing like the research like to make the spend equal the annual fee, like just
Mhm.
like learn on like you got to spend like at least $5,000 to $7,000 without the bonus like second year to make it I get to cancel out like mathematically if that makes sense.
Understood. Yeah, that makes total sense. Hey, listen, put in the comments. Maybe Michael and I could go into deep conversations about which cards you should keep and cancel. I'm going through the same thing. I've had over 80 cards at this point, and it's something that I am actively revisiting right now today. So I'd love to bring you into
So
that
so
discussion.
Key, I got a question. So I've got what is your opinion? And I know people know about the Barclays and American Airlines. Like, do you
Mhm.
feel like they're going to stay together? Because like I really want to try to get that Barclays Aviator card again, knowing like the rules of getting it again is kind of like all over the place with data points. Just because if there is a potentiality with AA being exclusive with Citi, trying to maybe take another chance at that easy bonus. But what do you feel about Barclays in general, like getting the credit card and then I guess their current relationship with AA? Do you think it's going to last the test of time right now?
Yeah, what a good question. I haven't actually gotten into like the super nerdy part of this hobby too much outside of the airlines. Like I could talk all day about the different aircraft and all that stuff. I'm not too familiar with the Barclays and American Airlines partnership. I know that they typically sign these things for like 10 plus years into the future. I'll have to let me get back to you on when the last one was signed and or when that expiration date is because I'm not sure. I know there is a lot of rumors. Maybe they're going to City or some other partner, maybe they're shopping around. But at the end
Because
of the
like
day,
I'm debating because I had the Rate Aviator, I downgraded to zero downward fee, and they say
Mhm.
like you have to basically cancel that one out, I guess, to get the Rate Aviator again. And I don't know if that would destroy my relationship with Barclays, or do I believe I can wait a little bit longer, knowing that Barclays could just re-up with AA and then get the easy
Mhm.
bonus. But I'm just teetering because I'm also afraid too. Like I haven't canceled any Barclays cards, and I hear they're very sensitive. So if I cancel one, then I don't know if it's gonna like maybe I want that Barclays Hawaiian card, which is like
Yeah,
an easy bonus, or like I said, and then also I think is it Wyndham too? Wyndham is also under
Mhm.
Barclays. So like
Definitely. Yep.
either on the fact, like if I cancel a Barclays card, does that potentially ruin my relationship going forward in getting those cards? Because they have some good cards, good bonuses, good multipliers.
Yeah. I saw we had a question come in, so I just wanted to throw it up and just get your mind thinking about it. Like I said, I'm all about the mindset of getting cards while they're still available and not really worrying about what's going to happen in the future. At the end of the day, if Barclays' relationship with American Airlines ends and you have the card, they're either going to product change you after you get the bonus and all that stuff, right? You're contractually obligated to get that, but they're going to product change you either to something else at Barclays, or I've actually had the choice card before it went over to Wells. It was actually issued by Barclays. Barclays somehow got that relationship. Now I have a Wells Fargo card. So don't know how they managed to swing those over to Wells Fargo. Kept my same credit line. It just moved from Barclays to Wells Fargo. So at the end of the day, they'll figure out, let them do all that stuff behind the scenes. But get it while it's good. Get it while it's good. That's all my advice is. Question from Eric. Thank you for the question. Keep them coming. What's your least favorite customer success credit card company? What's my least favorite customer success? Or excuse me, customer service credit card company. Okay, so I'm going to answer this question probably differently, Eric, than you probably want me to, like usual. I'm going to say, like, the whole goal of this is to never call the bank. The goal is to, right, we're maximizing the benefits. There's not a lot of people that sign up for cards and in fact get the sign up bonus and then in fact also know how to use them for the maximum benefits. So let's use our community, whether it's YouTube, Reddit, Discords, etc., to really strengthen the knowledge that we have and not really, I don't know. I don't like calling the bank. Like there's nothing that I can't figure out for sure on my own. So that would be my advice. I don't know because I don't really call. Recently, I did call to cancel Citi and Discover. Those experiences were fine, but I don't have anything to compare it to. Like I just don't call them.
So
What you
you've
got,
never
Michael?
had a negative experience with a credit card company?
I mean, not that's coming to mind. I'm sure I could think of something. Yeah, nothing coming to
So
mind right now.
so you've never had a situation where you were, flying out to Asia and you tried to put your Citi card on, but they detected it as fraud. They put it on hold for a week, sent you a letter in the mail when you're not home, and you couldn't use a card.
Wow, that sounds like something I've heard maybe on your channel. I have never had that experience. I've had like 7 or 8 Citi cards in my lifetime, and I've never had that
Yeah,
experience
and
at
the
all.
worst part too about the experience about Citi is that I like the card itself, and I like what they're doing, like and the bonus they've been putting out, like the multipliers, like they're not like Chase, for example, where they're just deliberately not giving you a what is it, a gas card or a grocery card. Like they're not trying. City is doing good with the Strata. They're putting out good
Yep.
setups. They've got good partnership with airlines. Like they're doing it well. It's just like it's hard sometimes when you have that bad experience with the credit card company and you're just like, and I've heard people too, and like even in Discord, if I can say the same thing, like they just, I don't know, like maybe it's their technology or whatnot. And in a close second, I want to say, once again, it's Wells Fargo. I've had weird
Oh
experiences with the
man.
check accounts. They won't give me their business card. I mean, it's just like they've been just kind of weird. Now they haven't been like terrible from a customer service. They just haven't been consistent, I guess, in regard for giving, I guess, what I'm expecting out of them. So I would say for me, Citi has been pretty underwhelming, and then Wells Fargo is slowly behind there, at least for credit card issuers and the service. Like I wouldn't say like they're so bad, but compared to like the other brands, it hasn't been that bad in general. Like I've had I've been a bank record for like over 20 years, and I've had like a fraud issue, stuff like that. But like I think that's kind of common in general with a lot of banks in general. So
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I appreciate, but also I can only imagine, right? Like when you're out and about, that's like the last thing you want to worry about is like your card not working, or especially when it's like truly you. But at the same time, right, we'd be complaining the other way, right? If someone like, I don't know, ran up all this money and you were like, where's all the fraud alerts, right? So it's like kind of a catch 22, but I get it. You want it to work when you want it to work. But yeah, I'm sorry you had those experiences. That's too bad. All right, let's turn over to the main event here. We're talking timeshares, which is, I'll say, a travel hack. We can kind of talk about all that stuff in a couple minutes here, but specifically, I know our relationship really started when we started talking timeshares and like all the different deals that are out here in 2024, especially. So before we even talk about it, would you ever or have you ever purchased a timeshare?
So personally, I haven't, but I have to say, sadly, I know someone close to me has, and they have fallen to that trap. I don't know specifically how that happened. Obviously, I was not
Mhm.
there to help them, but I have not, and I don't think I've become remotely close at any time I've done it in the last 2 years.
Okay. Okay. I agree with you. I've been to a number of these presentations that we'll talk about in a minute. We go over the number, but I also have never purchased a timeshare. I don't exactly understand it. Maybe that's part of the reason. But also, like with points and miles, right now, with how lucrative it is in the American market, I don't foresee the need of having, I don't know, having a timeshare when I don't know. I just find points and miles to be more convenient for my lifestyle right now.
I just think when you go to one and the financials just crazy. They're just there's well, we'll talk about it in a second, but it's just they're just super front loaded, and it's just like at least when I'm getting front loaded for something else, I'm getting some benefits. But with timeshare, you're front loading everything, and you're not really getting much. I mean, you're getting some stuff, but it's just kind of like too good to be true kind of thing, to be honest. So it's yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. I see we got more people in the chat here. Welcome to the conversation. We're just now getting into I'll say the meat and potatoes of today's discussion. Michael and I have never purchased a timeshare, but never know what the future has. Moving on to that. How many timeshare presentations have you been to? I'll just say recently, whatever you want to consider recently.
Oh, so let's see. I've done, I think, oh gosh, well, we got to count virtual too. So
Hmm.
1, 2, 3. So at least 4. I'd say 4 recently.
Okay, I'm with you. I'm with you. So I did 4 as well, and I got some notes over here to my side here. This year, 2024, I went to a Hilton timeshare presentation, Marriott, which was virtual, Holiday Inn, or IHG, and Choice Hotels. So also 4 for me as well. But I see you're still tabulating your results here. So
Yeah, it might be 5 now, actually.
okay, do you remember the ones? You want to name them off if you're
Yeah, I
comfortable?
got them. I got the same ones as you, except with Hyatt. So I got 5 including
Oh,
Hyatt. So like I said,
nice.
Choice was obviously live, and then IHG, which in the last year I've done 2. I did one for myself in place, so I guess that's five brands in all overall, and then I did the virtual Marriott one, which I mean that one was pretty easy, and then the Hyatt one was virtual as well, which I heard here right now is not available right now. So and
Okay,
then
so
Choice, and
virtual.
then
When you say virtual, right? I did a virtual one as well, but for people that maybe are new to timeshares, so typically most of the time, at least in my experience, you have to go physically to, I'll just say like Orlando or Las Vegas or some sort of touristy type of location, and physically attend in a lobby or something like that, meeting room, presentation, either in a group of strangers or kind of one-on-one with you and a salesperson. You're saying you did these virtually, so talk to us about that. You mean like from your house, like from where you're at right now?
yeah, so virtual timeshares are definitely the sweet spot if you can find them, because you don't have to travel out, you don't have to leave your house, your office, your bedroom, whatever it is. You literally do it from the mere presence of the virtual world, and grab a computer, webcam, and you sit there for, I don't know, 30 minutes, 2 hours, whatever, however you can last with these these sellers and go through the presentation if you were there, and that's it. And it's interesting. The Marriott one was very interesting because I think I was telling people maybe you have the same experience, Key, is that they actually were advertising their Marriott cards to me, and they were like saying, "Oh,
Oh,
after we're done, we're going to make sure you get a Marriott card as well." And then, of course, that kind of fizzled very slowly at the end. But that was probably one of the only presentations where they
that's
actually were like, let's we're going to do, the relationship is get your timeshare, get your Marriott cards. Timeshare is going to pay for, I think, for your lodging, right? And then the
mhm.
Marriott cards pay for your flights, is what they basically said. That's how they tried to entice
Oh,
me.
wow. Wow,
So
that's
I didn't know
good.
if they
That's
said the
good
same thing with
marketing.
you.
Yeah, that's solid. Um, for some of I want to throw out a tip here because I know that there's some misconceptions, right? So oftentimes, you either can attend by yourself or you can attend with multiple people, a partner, whoever you live with, roommate, etc. Have you ever had them like verify if you're married, single, divorced, etc. during these presentations, or no? You just kind of
So
check
I
off a
was
box and they leave it.
So I would say pretty much all of them basically asked me that question. I think except Choice. Choice didn't really care,
Hmm.
at least if I was married or not. That was the only one. Everyone else asked me, status, income, all that stuff that you have to
Yep.
basically just vouch for. But Choice was the only one where like they didn't really care so much, I guess. Whereas the other
Yep.
ones are pretty emphatic about it because like for some of them, if you go as a couple, you get more points, or if you're single, you get less
Mhm.
points.
Okay. Yeah, I've had that experience as well. I've definitely gone and attended with friends and things like that as a player too. If and only if there were more points involved. If not, I'm always saying single, no matter what. I haven't had them verify that any type of way. I don't know how they would verify that. Typically, they ask you, your status. They ask you your income is over. I think it's like 45,000, maybe $50,000. Some of them are more than that. And then they usually ask something else. I can't remember right now. But again, I don't know how they verify any of that information. I think it's like honor system and or, if it comes down to you actually purchasing, maybe they do some other verification. But I haven't had them check that.
Yeah, and I can say that too because going with my spouse, we don't have the same last name. So like I think
Mhm.
the last thing I want to do is debate if that's your actual spouse and then get into a
Right.
whole situation with them. So I agree. I think they just kind of just honor it and just accept it, and
Okay.
that's it. They give you the vouch with the check-in, you check everything. That's it. So
Okay. Very cool. Yeah. So virtual and in person. Do you have a preference in person, virtual, or not?
I think and I think this is kind of the tip section what we're getting to is that with the actual physical one, like at least for me, I've made it kind of like I've used it as a work trip or a nice vacation. So if you like that kind of style, like it kind of works out in the favor. Like I did the Orlando one, and I mean it's Orlando. You can do whatever you want there, theme parks, pools, beach, whatever it is. So you can make that a mini vacation. I did the one in Tennessee, Smoky Mountains. You go hiking, you check out Gatlinburg and stuff like that. So it's nice
Hmm.
if you prefer that. But if you want to save a little money, I guess, and you want to stay in your house, that works too. So in
Yeah.
my opinion, like, it kind of just depends on where I'm at that point. Do I want a nice vacation? I'll go do it. Or if I like to, stay at home and just kind of just relax, I guess. What about you?
Okay. Okay, so I only have done one virtual. The rest of the three or this year have been in person. I think I like the in-person ones better. Just being at home, I know being at home is just distracting, and I just feel like the flow was weird. Like, in my opinion, I'm just trying to get through the presentation as fast as possible. And sometimes, the doorbell's ringing, Amazon's dropping by, and the dog goes crazy, and like the presentation stops. I'm like, let's keep it rolling. Just keep it rolling, in my opinion. So,
Do you think maybe you build a better personal connection in person than virtual, and you like that connection, even though you won't actually buy that timeshare?
um, such a good question. I don't think so. I am very upfront. I have my timer set. If I know it's going to be 2 hours, I'm like, I'm going to set a timer for 2 hours just so I make sure the conversation is going to go pretty quickly here today. I'm here. just to listen to the information you have, and I won't be purchasing. I'm sure you hear that all the time. Let's roll. That's usually like how I kick off my, I don't know, presentation experience. So I try to be like, I'm social, but I'm not like giving extra information. Like I'll answer the questions.
I'm the same with you too. And like actually every time I think I've done one of these, actually they actually have been like a true thing. Like the last one we did, I literally had like a work call and I was probably gone for like 30 minutes and like it totally deflated the presentation. And by the time I came back, we're just like, yeah, we're just gonna go. Like we don't really Michael doesn't really care anymore. He has to go back to work order. So like I set a time limit. Like every time I project, it's been like, oh, I should have been somewhere an hour ago. I had a point for this. And then like they don't really have anything else to say. So in a way, 2 hours is my max. And if they start late or they take too much time, it's not really my fault. And it just kind of just puts less time for them to persuade me to buy their timeshare.
Agreed. Okay. All right. So you've been to 4 or 5 presentations this year. Can you tell us about maybe some of the, I'll say compensation, I'm not exactly sure, benefits, perks you've gotten for attending these types of presentations?
So with Hyatt, we'll start with the virtual one because those are easy. I think Hyatt was virtual, and obviously you get more points if you do as a couple. I think it was like, in my video, I think it was like, I got 15,000 points for a couple, and then I think it's like 10 just by yourself. I think like that. That's what it is. So company is great because high points are very valuable. 15,000 points, like, I mean, if you do like a Cat 1, you can get at least, depending on what the points are, if it's 3,000 or 5,000, that's a couple of nights. So I mean, that works out. Marriott, it was either 15. I don't know if you remember, but I did by myself. It was 15,000 or 20. It was one of those two. Might have been 20.
Okay.
20,000 was a lot. I actually used
that is a lot. That is a lot.
So that was pretty good. So IHG. So last year, like right around this time, we did for player 2. It was weird. Like, and this was kind of like some tips too. Like, I think you're going to talk about this too. Is that sometimes you don't always go for the first offer they give you. And so when we initially talked about it, it was like 50,000 points, whatever. And then I called them and like, I was actually going to just say yes, but then I paused for like a couple minutes. And he's like, oh, let me check your profile. And they upped it to 70,000. So I get 70,000 IHG points.
Let's go.
So that was, and then for the second one we just did for IHG for myself, I think I got 50,000, which was fine. And that was just nothing really string attached. And then choice was the big one I've talked about, which is crazy because that one was, oh God, that was a lot of 50,000 choice points. And they topped me off with a $150 gift card, which is the same thing I told you. Like, you look at the offer on the website, you call them, and then not because I was trying to do it, but it helps too that when you set an appointment and if you have to reschedule, like sometimes I've done it many times, but like I kind of tell them like, hey, I can't do it. Can you just waive that fee? I'll catch you next time. And then they'll send you emails or phone calls like, hey, do you also want to do this? So for choice, that was a big one because that funded a lot of my hotel stays at choice. 50,000, $150 gift card was pretty big in my opinion. And then the Hilton one I have has been marinating for like a year. I think Hilton, you know this one too. Hilton, they're giving me $200 hotel certificate, the three night cruise, and right now they're offering me at least 25,000 Hilton points. So
okay, that's solid. I the gift card. Let's go back to that for a second. You said $150. Was that like a choice gift card, or was that like a Visa gift card, or
so it was just a MasterCard gift card. It had like the logo of choice and everything like that. It was just a journal gift card you can use, and
so
that was fire. I mean, it was crazy. I mean, and that was was what, $200 for 3 nights, and then the thing that I've talked about to you a couple of times is that if you could find a way to like stay at hotels with the different hotel chains and you apply your membership number, you get points. So for a choice hotel program, which obviously has different hotels, they were out of, I guess, choice hotels at that time in Orlando. So they threw me in a Holiday Inn. And so I got Holiday Inn points and the nights for a choice hotel timeshare. So that was pretty cool. And then the same thing when I did IHG recently. Like I said, like I said, the first thing you want to do is you want to talk about where you want to stay. You reschedule. They wanted me originally at some, I don't know, some lower end hotel. I don't remember what it was. And I was like,
Uh-huh.
hey, can you put me at the DoubleTree because I want to be by the beach? And that's a Hilton property. So then that thing was fired because, like, once again, IHG timeshare, you get the points, and then I got the Hilton nights, but they also honored my gold status, so I got free at the same time. So it was just like, it was so incredible. Like, that's one of the key things when you can just kind of just play around and really take advantage of these times. I don't know if you had a similar situation in your
Listen,
experience.
listen, you said so much good stuff there. You're going to have to rewatch this video after it drops later tonight or tomorrow. Michael just dropped some gems. So not only is he going to presentations, he's negotiating before he gets there to get as many points or as many rewards as possible. But then also he's negotiating where he's staying. He's like, I don't want to stay here. I want to stay by the beach. So he's not only staying, at an IHG, he's doing an IHG timeshare presentation. He's staying at the Hilton by the beach. That's pretty crazy. I personally have never heard that before, like talking to you, Michael. I'll get into buy rewards. We have a question from Keith right here. Do you use another phone or a different phone number for presentations? I've never bothered with one of these. Do you do a different phone number or different email address or kind of consolidate these anywhere?
No, I don't. I don't think it actually matters for timeshares. I don't think they're gonna judge you or like, take. I don't think they take it seriously until you actually sign the dotted line. Is how I look at it. Like, everything is just kind of just there for them to just have, but then in the end, like, it doesn't really matter. At least I don't know about you.
Okay. Yeah, I also don't I don't use any sort of special phone number or email address or anything like that for these presentations. In all regards, I try to hold on one second. I try to just, like, honestly, I'm trying to solicit these offers. So however I can make that as easy as possible for myself, the better. I love it when they call me. I'm gonna keep them on the phone for a minute. I'm trying to get the best possible offer. So no, I don't use a different phone number or anything crazy. But I hope they do call. The answer is probably yes. I will attend, especially if it's virtually. Okay. I see you got some love here, Mike. Yeah, talking about negotiating. I think that's probably where that comment came from. So good stuff. Similar to you, we have a lot of overlap in the presentations we've been to this year. As far as like the rewards I've received, the $200 Hilton night on us is very limited. You have 6 months from the date of your presentation to stay at a property, so keep that in mind. And then you can only select from a handful of Hilton properties. So traditional Hilton, DoubleTree, Candle something, Suites. And then there's like 2 others. So maybe, Embassy Suites is definitely another one that's on the list. So keep in mind, maybe you want to do like a staycation, or maybe like you need to do a repositioning flight somewhere that has a DoubleTree or has one of these Hiltons near or attached to the airport, that you can kind of use up this certificate on us. But limitations. But I got that. I used it up in San Francisco before going to Turkey earlier this year, and to Manila earlier this year. I got the 4-day, 3-night cruise, and I actually got a 7-night cruise. I haven't used the 4-night, but I actually recently did like from Boston all the way up to Canada, stopped in Maine, a couple other places as well. 7-night cruise was pretty solid. Fees and taxes on that were $200, so not terrible. Not terrible for a 7-night cruise, in my opinion. That was pretty solid. I've received. I did the Marriott Bonvoy virtual myself. I did that with a roommate, so we got 50,000 Bonvoy points, went right to my account right after. I did Holiday Inn. I talked about. I got 70,000 IHG points. I didn't get a gift card or anything like that, and I did that in Las Vegas earlier this year. If anyone's a Formula One fan like me, it's kind of on the Formula One route. So I'll just say that before we get into tips and tricks, I'll just say that for now. And then most recently, I did the choice presentation last week, 70,000 choice points for attending that. And I was off the strip, but it was actually quite nice. I kind of liked the area that I was in.
So Key, for these timeshares, the physical ones, do you try to plan some type of mini vacation, or you just kind of like, I just go there, I'm done, time to get out? Because I don't know if you, but for all the physical ones I've been to, I've actually never stayed the whole 3 nights.
Okay. Okay.
So like,
Yep, I can
and
relate
like
to that.
even the one time in Orlando, I already planned in advance. Like I already was like, for example, I was supposed to stay till Sunday. I already booked my flight for Saturday. So like it was almost like I'm just gonna leave no matter what. And so like I don't know if anyone has done it, but I can tell you that I've done it all 3 times. And like they say some disclaimers about like, oh, but like in the end, like they don't honestly care because you already paid for it. So like
Mhm.
I'm just saying, like one time actually was a real reason because someone was not feeling well. But like
Oh
if
man.
you feel, you're over blank blank wherever you're staying, it's another thing I consider too. You don't have to stay all 3 nights. At least stay obviously with the presentation, but like if you want to leave
Yeah.
early, you definitely can. So another tip as well.
Yeah, for sure. You have to at least check in and do the presentation. Otherwise, I think there's like some terms and conditions that they can bill you the full rack rate for whatever time period you're staying. So take that as a tip as well. I know we're not even in the tips and tricks portion, but we've given quite a few things away here tonight. Definitely continue commenting at us in the chat here. Um, yeah, no, I'm excited to get to the tips and tricks section here. You want to just move there now? I mean, I'm excited to see what you got.
All right, yeah, sure. So tips and tricks. I think, like I said, kind of just what we alluded to. Like, if you do it, like I would say, don't ever like accept the first offer. Like I
Mhm.
know you paid your money, it's gonna be sticking there, but you literally have like a year to use the time to do it. And even my Hilton one, it's gone over a year. Even after a year, they still keep asking you. So they know you
Oh
paid
wow.
for it, and like they're still gonna keep asking you. So even after a year, like they're not gonna forget about you. They're gonna keep badgering you, keep waiting for the better offer. I'm supposed to be going to Vegas, I think, like in January for a Hilton one. So like I would say like don't take the first offer, always negotiate and always mention what you can, whether it's like your status, because that's how we got better points. When you say,
Mm,
hey, I'm actually platinum, it helps as well. So I would say that's definitely the first thing I would say. Like
okay.
don't always take the first offer and always just, if you can, just see what is going to give you the best offer for the money you spend.
I love that. That's a great first tip. And we have a question too before I give my first tip. I'll go ahead and answer this one first. How does one learn about these offers, and does each hotel send their offers by email? So, great question. Love it. The offers can come a multitude of ways. Sometimes when you book a hotel, sometimes there's a promotion at the end of like the booking process on the hotel page that'll say, are you interested in this? And or sometimes right after booking a hotel, they'll just start soliciting you for presentations and hey, stay 4 nights, 3 days for $99 or $100. And that's how that process starts. Oftentimes they sometimes will call you, but typically I find for me that's after I stay at a property. So not after I book it, but after I physically stay. Someone will call and say, you know, hope you enjoyed your stay. We're wondering if you want to come out to, California or somewhere else to see our property out here and see about vacation ownership, I think is what they say. But how about you? Anything different there?
Well, okay, I've never gotten an offer whenever I stay at a hotel about staying at a time. I've never like, and they've never offered me. I think the only thing closest remotely back in the day was like when you used to go to the malls and you see like those blue green stuff. That was like the only thing remotely I remember about offers, at least for timeshares. But like as mentioned here, like email is going to be the main way you're going to get it. I mean, you don't even have status. If you stayed even one night, like the choice one was crazy because I did some promotion like a while back where like if you did choice dining, right, where you stayed at a restaurant, just like with AA Advantage, you do a choice dining. And once I did that, like a couple days later, like, hey, do you want to get a timeshare? So like
Oh
stuff
wow.
like that works. And then also say too that I think everyone is kind of doing this already, but like you're in a lot of groups, a lot of Discords, Facebook groups, and you hear things, you see things, you hear things, and all you got to do is you just click the button. You may not qualify, you may not, but at the worst. So I would say main thing is email and then just being in a lot of travel groups. I mean, if you're not at least in a Discord or one of those groups, then you're missing out because I would say it's because unless you're doing this full time, everyone needs those notifications and alerts. So that's what I would say. That's how I've been getting a lot of
For
miles.
sure. For sure. And I'm just thinking about that too. Definitely Facebook, Discord, and all the private stuff that goes on. But Dr. Credit also often posts about some of these deals as well. I know they're probably not as popular of the posts as they post over there, but definitely keep that in mind as well. Go over to that search bar on drcredit.com and check those out if that's of interest to you. So great question. Love it. I'll share my travel tip. And Michael, if you think of anything, let's talk about it. But my first tip is try to stack these as much as possible. So what I mean by that is after you get solicited, right, it usually costs, I don't know, I'll just throw out a figure, anywhere from $79 for these packages all the way up to, I'll say $250, maybe $300 to have, I'll say like a 4-night stay, sometimes a 3-night stay, and attend one of these presentations. But these things code as travel. So, like, if you have cards like the US Bank Altitude Reserve or the Chase Sapphire Preferred, or excuse me, the Reserve, or Bank of America has cards that offer a pretty flexible travel credit as well. That's how I often purchase these timeshare presentations, by utilizing that credit, especially the US Bank Altitude Reserve, because not only am I using the credit, I'm usually wiping that charge out with the real time rewards personally. So, stacking these and getting as many points as possible is a great way to do that. So stack on the purchase. When you go to the hotel, make sure they have your rewards number. It is 100% free to sign up for all of these loyalty programs, whether it's Hilton, Marriott, Choice, IHG, etc. Make sure you sign up. I think that's part of the process and part of like the social engineering, right? Is showing like you love this brand, you like this brand, and having that membership number goes a long way. And you're going to get points for the stay anyways, whether it's like a loyalty bonus or, depending on the property, right? Or in Michael's case, right, you might even get treated as your status when you check into these hotels and get an upgrade or free breakfast, etc.
And just to piggy off with Key, like I said, I've talked about this a little bit too, is that I think in the points and miles game, what you're trying to do is try to maximize. And I don't think none of us are advocating, like I said, spending that you don't want. So if you do decide you want to do it, try to do it as I've talked about, like as an original plan. Like I said, if I can drive up to Tennessee, which is a couple hours from me, or fly to Orlando because you want to go to Universal Studios, like make it part of your plan. So that way you're doing kind of two things in one: do a family vacation or a couples retreat, and also getting some points and miles. Because in the end, like we don't want you to spend just so you can earn one, because it doesn't make sense, just financially as well. Just because you can get 70,000 IG points, but then why would you do it when you're spending, $300, $200 for going there, and then the flights, whatever, stuff like that, cars. So
Yeah, so true, so true. When I do these, I 100% be financially responsible is paramount to everything. If you're listening to Michael's channel or my channel or anyone else that's really kind of promoting this stuff, yeah, we're not talking about going into debt to go on these trips or using your credit in irresponsible manners by any means. But yeah, well said, Michael. I forget my train of thought there. I was going to say something after that. I'll come back to it if I remember.
But
One
have you
thing
done well? Have you done well with like redeeming like the points? And like it sounds like you've done the cruise, which is great. How about the
Yeah.
points? Have you been redeeming them for hotel stays as well? Like you've been just using them pretty quickly as well?
Yeah, I try to have a plan, right? I'm not going to do a presentation unless I have a plan for the points. With like, so most recently was Choice. So I got the 70,000 Choice points a week or two ago, not even. With those, I plan on going to Louisville next year to do like part of the Bourbon Trail. So I plan on using those points right away. I'm going to book that property here, if not today, tomorrow. So those points will go right back down to zero. And that's pretty much how I use my hotel points. The only points I really try to keep around are transferable points and maybe like a little stash of airline miles here and there, personally. What about you?
I will say right now I've got some points, which is a miracle, but I almost don't have any points. But just with some of the bonus I've gotten and just kind of stuff I'm trying to plan to do, like I use almost all the time, especially for the travel I do. Like hotel points are one of the first to go, and I think it's going to segue into like kind of what we talked about, that if you can all involve a player too, yeah, it does add up the cost overall when you travel, but it also alleviates you always getting a card or doing it. So with that, like having a player two helps because someone could focus on certain parts, whether it's a combination of hotel or transfer currency or airline cards, whatever it is, whatever the strategy is. And so we've kind of built that strategy right now. And like one thing we've done, with us is that we already plan our travel for next year, and a combination of work and personal travel. Player two was able to hit IHG 40 nights, which is really big because if you know IHG, it starts to get you into some nice awards, and she's going to get lounge access. And the tip really is that, and you see a lot of data points, is that you have to hit this lounge access as early as October. So then you activate it the 1st of January. So then you get January for that year and next year. So, like I said, you plan what you do with your points and also from what you get. And so for our travels next year, we're going to try to, if hotels do have the lounge, we can use it as an extra way of just using it, saving money, stuff like that. So it's another thing to consider when you're thinking about your strategies. With I know we have player two on the topic as if you use one or not, but I would say for timeshares, she's getting a little bit tired of it. So it's going to be very, very hard. I'll try to convince her to do the Hilton one. She's actually starting to do it because it might be easier because of everything we're getting, and it's Vegas. But right now, it's probably her last one. It's getting to the point now where like we know what's going to happen, and I don't really want to drag her into it. But when as we know in the beginning, some of these offers kind of require it sometimes, and it's hard, to do this all the time with them. So I do, but I'm trying to taper off if they allow me to.
Okay. Like I said earlier, I haven't had anyone verify the status thing. So my PT will definitely come to the presentations if it involves more points. So like with Hilton, I believe we got more points for her attending, and then definitely for Marriott. I had one of my friends attend because I just needed someone to go to get the 50,000. I don't think she would go if there weren't more points involved. If it was just involving, I'll just say a blanket 30,000 points. If you attend a timeshare presentation, she's not going. She's not going.
Because the Hyatt one I did, the virtual one I did last time with P2, it was probably one of the worst ones I did because
oh wow,
you go through the script and everything, and we literally said no like one or two times, and they were like, we don't accept it. They didn't say that, but the reaction said everything. Like, you're really gonna deny us? I'm like, yeah. Like, we're not even in the same room with you. Like, how are you gonna force us to say yeah? So that one, after that one, she was pretty tired. Like, I don't know if I want to use yeah, but I was a lot of Hyatt points.
So their sales tactics were pretty brutal. Is that what you're saying about the Hyatt one?
Yeah, they were more aggressive. It's weird when I did the Marriott one. Marriott, being one of the higher end properties, they almost made a disclaimer to me hey, I think they're one of the biggest ones out there.
Yeah.
And they're also one of the most expensive. And they're like, well, if you can't do it, then we're not. So they were easier, but Hyatt was just I was almost at the point where I thought they were going to give me the points for a long time. So I kept checking. I'm like, are you going to give my points? I think even at one time I even emailed the guy 2 weeks later, are you going to give my points? So
oh, what? They didn't give you your points right away? At the end?
No, it took maybe a couple of weeks. So yeah, it took a couple of weeks. Wow. That's why after 2 weeks I emailed, I'm like, are you going to give my points? And then after that, once you badge it, then they kind of just give it to you. So
okay. Wow. I sent Michael a list of questions kind of in advance just in case there weren't questions coming in on the chat. This was not something I sent in. The salespeople definitely go to some borderline techniques for sure. If you had a crazy story you want to share about one of your experiences at one of these timeshare presentations, have they said something where you're like, what in the world?
I don't think they've said anything crazy. I know with the Choice one, when we did Orlando, it was pretty distracting. Because didn't you say you went to Orlando Choice as well?
I haven't gone to Orlando this year for timeshare. I think last year I did.
Well, I know with Choice in Orlando, it was weird because just where they were, they tried to make it sound like they were making a sale all the time. So every time they made a sale, they rang a bell. And I was like, oh my God, this bell just keeps ringing. Yeah. But I mean, that was kind of a weird tactic. I would say, I'll ask you this question too. Which, out of all the price points they give you, did you feel based on how the brand hierarchy is, was it up to par? So for example, Choice was they were giving me some pretty cheap timeshare offers compared to the other brands versus like
Mm.
Hyatt and Marriott. Did you feel like it was as you thought it was, or did you feel they were so different they were willing to give you pretty low offers comparable to like Choice or IG? Because those are a little bit
Yeah.
lower
Yeah.
end on
Lower. Yeah.
option.
Yeah. I love that question. I think it's just expensive generically. Like, so I don't know. I don't even know, like, for the people that have bought a timeshare, maybe if you're comfortable, share how much that costs. But like some of the offers I've gotten started like like I think the Hilton one started at like 50 something $1,000. And I was like, yeah, dude, what are you saying right now? And then like you kind of like just chisel them away. The lowest I got, the Hilton one specifically, I think was like $8,000 for, I don't even know what they were offering at that point. But it's like, again, like if you're offering me for 8,000, like how much does it really cost? Like we started at 50 and we're at 8. Like what are we talking about here? So yeah, I think Hilton and Marriott were the most expensive. But if I remember, I was at Choice not too long ago. I think they had said Marriott, oh no, Hilton bought them.
Right.
So I think their price was probably the same as what Hilton was trying to do. I didn't see anything crazy. And then Holiday Inn as well. They were a little bit cheaper. I mean, if we call it $10,000, $20,000 cheaper, not in my opinion. But they justified it by saying like we're a family property, we're always making enhancements, we're always buying new properties, enhancing properties. Like that was their pitch to me. Again, like just not interested at all. Not interested.
So Key, so for Hilton, like I said, they bought Blue Green. Blue Green is
Hmm.
part of Choice, and that's what you're saying. So one thing we
Yep.
should definitely talk about, and I don't know if people actually know this if you've been to one or not. So when we say timeshare presentations, so it's not how it was back, like, I don't know what time, what era it was, 1990, whatever it was. So when we say timeshare presentation, at least correct me if I'm wrong, maybe your experience is different, but it's got to be consistent because I've been to all the brands. They're all the same. But when you buy a timeshare, you are buying the property deed, but you're not actually buying to stay at that property. You're basically buying
Mm,
points and miles. So I don't know if you want to say,
yeah.
but for that, so
Sure.
each hotel chain has a different hierarchy of points they're giving you based on the cost. And so that's one thing I want to make sure we're aware of because I guess the
Yeah.
example is like
Yeah.
if your timeshare costs $10,000, for example, you're going to get 50,000 Hilton timeshare points. Is how I would describe it,
Hmm.
something like that. And from my experience, I think the lowest I got was Choice, and they were offering like a very low starting offer of like $2,000, of course, with
Oh
all the fees
wow.
and like that. But
Yeah.
they were desperate. They were, they just wanted to get my foot in the door, and then they'll just
Yeah.
start,
Yeah.
ripping me off in the future or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but I want to make that was clear if anyone was wondering, like, it's not how it was back in the day where you actually bought a timeshare, you're stuck with forever, and then you've got to find some poor person to try to sell it off to, whatever. It's different now
Hmm.
where you're getting basically the deed of lot, whatever it is, or property, whatever it is, apartment, whatever it is, and then you're getting points equivalent to whatever it costs.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they almost have like so separate from credit card points, right? These are separate timeshare vacation. Actually, they haven't even used the word timeshare in my presentation. They've all started saying vacation ownership, or ownership or experience ownership, like things like that. Again, just marketing. It's the same dang thing. I know that what they're doing, but nevertheless, they have a separate awards chart from that. So it's usually right. The presentation I've gone to is like every property they have that's on the ownership side has a high, medium, and low season of some regard. And if it's high season, obviously it's going to cost, I'll just say 1,000 points a night. Middle season maybe costs I don't know, 700 points a night. Low season costs 300 points a night, something like that. And that kind of rotates, right? The high season, low season, mid season. They have all these blackout date type of things based on the property. Super confusing. They always make it sound like it's so easy to use these points, but like you look at the award chart and you look at the properties and you're like, what on earth? Like you can never go to like, I don't know, I'll just say New York City at New Year's Eve, right? Like that's a high season, that's 1,000,000 points a night. Like anywhere you would want to go is like not, or at least in my opinion, like when they've explained it to me, it's like there's no chance I'm buying this.
Yeah, and like it's just crazy too because once you start touring like their model homes, it's like, oh my gosh, they're hoping you're going to fall in love because it's like so perfect. And while I have never bought a timeshare, I'm sure there's no way if you actually pick a property to even remotely close to one of those model
Yeah.
homes, like, and that's the
Yeah.
thing, like they try to entice you with, along with the like group presentation of people having a good time, and then they're giving you like snacks, stuff like that in the beginning, and and then like the general presentation, like they get a profile of you, what do you like to do, stuff like that, what are your
Hmm.
goals, what are your interests, stuff like that, just to kind of gauge what you want to do, and then move on with the whole spiel with the points, which is crazy because the whole timeshare thing is crazy. And I know some people know it here. It's just, it's not even that. Like for me, they try to sell you on the points, but then they start getting to the other parts of the portal, RCI and as an Interval International, like that's
Yep.
where they start getting to a portal and you start booking this stuff, and then they start talking about cash bookings, and that's where like if you know like your limitations and what you're trying to do, like your intentions, then there's no way you're going to do it because after they milk you for buying a timeshare, they start talking about you using even more cash for other cash booking that you can get value from,
Yeah.
and then you're basically just spending more money than you want to. So that's the thing,
Hmm.
like with these timeshares, they're they're finding a way to entice you and just kind of expose you for something that you probably don't want to do anyway.
Yeah. I completely agree. Um, so in these presentations, like as they're doing them or maybe shortly after, right, usually are in a big group. They go like there's like this super hyped up person that's kind of going through all the information, and they hand you off to someone that's more individual, right? They'll run like, how much do you think you're going to spend on vacations from here on out? And they run this like time value of money. I won't get into the nerdy stuff, but like super extrapolated time value of money calculation. And it's like, okay, over the next 726 years, you're going to spend $637,000 on vacations. It's like, calm down. I don't know what kind of calculation that is. Calm yourself down. And like the thing about it is they're not even talking about just the hotel nights that you're going to spend on vacation. They're talking about the food, they're talking about activities, they're talking about stuff you're also still going to have to pay for even if you get the vacation ownership or the timeshare package. So like I've never understood it. Like I'm like I don't understand how this is part of the pitch at all. Like I don't get it at all.
So I'll ask you a question. I've talked to a buddy of mine, and like, so the one thing they try to sell is, and I told you, these model homes, these unbelievable like 2 bedroom places near whatever, in the style they've kind of talked about, a nice kitchen. And so maybe we're different travelers. Like a buddy of mine mentioned, like, so when you go on vacation, well, you can go to one of these timeshares and stay in one of these places, and their expectation is that you have the option of, I guess, cooking. And
Yeah.
I'm going to be frankly honest, like when I'm on vacation, I'm not looking to bust out a stove and wash dishes, buy
Yeah.
frozen meat at Costco or whatever. Like
Yep.
I'm looking to go out and try different food. So like that's one thing I would say. If you're that kind of traveler like me, then timeshares won't be right for you. But they do try to target you for that kind of thing where
Yep.
you want to be cost effective, but they're also saying like, oh yeah, do you also want to cook? While you're in Orlando, when you can go eat this and that, and get out a grill and cook hamburgers. I'm like, I can already do that at home. Why would I want to do that at a timeshare? So
Yeah, I'm with you on that. For me, cooking is not like paramount. I definitely have cooked like when I stay at a Residence Inn. Like I love staying at those when I know, like if I'm going to a late night concert, my friends and I will often like first of all we'll split a room, but then we'll go get frozen pizza or like whatever for after the concert. And that's how we cook. Like we don't cook. We just like throw it in the oven for after the event or after the whatever we went to for that night. So it's not a huge selling point to me. Like that's not of importance. But I do like those types of properties that have like a designated living room, a bedroom, or maybe a couple of bedrooms. I do like that because I do like to travel with people. When sometimes I'm pretty much a solo traveler, but sometimes I do.
I mean, come on, Kia. I think we all enjoy that extra space, those suite
Yeah,
upgrades. So like,
true.
it's more about that. But I will say this: like, we can get into like, so the one thing that these timeshares, like the points and everything, the one thing that I convinced them on one specific detail, whether they actually would have done it or not. is that along with the actual cost of the timeshare, X amount of money, they throw some fees into you. Like I said, maintenance fees, and then there's another fee. There's two fees basically mainly, maintenance fee and some type of other fee that are basically perpetual. And I remember, I think the last one I did, I literally said like, you need to knock those all out. Like I don't want to pay for those. Like when I pay my 20 grand, like
wow.
that's it. And they supposedly agreed. And that's the reason why they were so mad when I said no, because they're like, what else do you want from us? We knocked out your maintenance fees, your other fees, we knocked down the cost. And I was like, that's the thing where it leads to our next point that like, if you already know what, if you have a budget in mind going overall, what's the vacation or the timeshare in general, just confirm if you can, because they gave me a pretty good offer. They knocked down the price, they cut out the fees. I lost some points as well for the offer, but in the end, if it's still over what you want and you're never intended to pay, then I would say that's the thing to be careful when you do these things, because like I said, the glitz, the glamour, the tour, the pool, the nice kids, like it's all there for you, like by the beach, close to the whatever. They're all pulling you in so hard. And so I think having that mindset, if you can, or if you can't, then don't even go to one. But if you can, knowing that's what no matter what they do to you, even if you play around with them, like that's what I would say, like just have your mindset already, your game plan already going forward. So that way you're not just bamboozled, with everything, and just so.
100%. Yeah. So if you're going to these presentations, know that you're going to say the word no at least 50 times. No thanks, not interested. And they're going to hit you with questions like, you don't like what you see, or don't you love that? Like questions you have to say yes to. So just be wary of that. But just say no. No, thank you. I'm here for my reward. I appreciate the time you're offering me today. But to Michael's point, it is funny, some of the stuff they pull out. In Vegas a couple weeks ago, last week, I did the choice one. They brought me to the presidential suite. Typically, they don't do that, right? They bring you to like the 1 bedroom or the 2 bedroom, right? Based on like how you answer the survey questions. This guy brought me up to the presidential suite, and I was like, we're never booking. This is not going to be available. You can see the strip. You can see like that room is never going to be available ever. So like, I don't know. He was like, before he even like opened the door, he was like, do you want to put this on Snapchat? This is going to be a really nice room. I was like, dude, not a chance. Not a chance. But it was nice. I know we talked about the kitchen. One underrated thing, I do actually like having the washer dryer. I don't know what it is. I love going home with my clothes clean. I know. Maybe I'm weird in that regard. You, Michael?
No.
You hate the washer dryer? You hate it?
No. So the funny thing was, so our Japan trip, not to digress a little bit, but we kind of planned it. We're like, so on our first week was over, we had a suite within our IHG hotel, and it had a washer and dryer in there. So we cleared out our dirty clothes for that first week, and then in the last part in Tokyo, I specifically targeted one with a washer and dryer in the room. So like I said, we kind of went home with clean clothes because, I don't know, it's heavier clothes, it's heavier luggage, it smells. So no, the washer and dryer is so important, especially if you start staying longer,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's like the one thing, like, I don't know, if there was one thing, if I was to ever get a timeshare, that'd be the one thing I think, be like, yeah, that makes sense. Everything else, absolute garbage stuff. Absolute garbage. All right. We digress a little bit, but this has been a good conversation, in my opinion. Any other tips, tricks, maybe things you don't think most people know about these presentations you want to share?
I think I've said some of it already. Like I said, just the point system has changed over the years. I mean, that's a really big detail. I think it's changed. I don't know how long it's been, but as long as I've done the last couple of years, it's kind of changed. And then I think, like I said, that tip about like when you stay at one brand and you get another one, just kind of that strategy of hacking, really getting some points, and then elite stays. I think those are two things people don't know about. I didn't realize it either until I've done it 2 times already.
Yeah.
Like that last tip about like, you don't actually have to stay the whole 3 or 4 nights. Just stay until the presentation, then you want. They're not going to care. You paid for it already. So
that's true. That's true. Thank you for sharing that. For me, I think my thing is, right, I have this mental block that I don't pay for points and miles, but like obviously we know that's not true. For me, like doing these presentations, like for me to evaluate, like, am I going to pay for this or not? I always go over to like the website and see like how much do these points cost, right? Like, so for Choice, for example, I think it was $250, right? Am I mistaken? Maybe it was 270.
Yeah, it's 250. 250
250.
sounds about right.
Okay, so real quick, let me just share my screen here real quick, and I just want to show, right? So they currently have a promotion going on right now. I think you could, yeah, you can see my screen. They currently have a promotion going on. And what I wanted to do was my presentation, like I said, costs, let's just say $250, right? I'm just going to pull this until I hit the 250 mark. This is how I kind of evaluate if I'm going to pay or not. About 250. I'll go to 257. Fine. 257. So with this current promotion with Choice, I only would have got 70,000 points if I would have bought this amount of points. So that's kind of like the evaluation I go through is if for 250, I got to go to this presentation and I'm going to get 70,000 points, I often say like, okay, that's worth it to me. I want to see how much 70,000 points cost with this promotion. 500, almost $500. Yeah, that's crazy. There's no way. Like I wouldn't pay for that, but for some reason in my mind, I'd rather go to the presentation, sit there for my 90 minutes or 120 minutes and call it good. But Michael, does that make sense? That's kind of how I just wanted to show how I kind of evaluate if I'm gonna do these or not.
Yeah, I agree too, Key. Like I said, you have to take an account for the money you spend if it's worth the points because like if you pay 250 for 25,000 points,
Mm-hmm.
where's the value in that? I mean, you can,
Yeah.
and then I will say another tip, I think Key mentioned it too, is that obviously you go because it's a plan of yours to do something, but also have a plan to use the points. Like
Mm-hmm.
I've always been advocate, and you have too, that when you get points, try to use them within the expiration date or sooner because Choice Hotels is a great example where they've just been just crushing and devaluing the points. I think twice this year already. So like
Yeah. Yeah.
you have to have a means of it because while it's great to have a million Hilton points or
Mm-hmm.
500,000 Marriott points, it's it's only gonna get worse from here. I don't I
Agreed.
just don't see a situation where like you can hoard points for years. I know you mentioned the I prefer, and I know people like you and Dukers have talked about it. I think it's coming along, but I think we both agree it's still premature. I know we've talked about how you can do the I prefer with Choice. I mean, with City get the 1 to 4, which is tremendous value. But I think the data points have shown that the caveat is that you're only going to know the true value if you have the full points in your account. And a lot of people from like 1 Mile, Freaking Mile are saying that you're finding very few properties are out willing to offer a full points booking. Instead, they rather just give you the points and cash combo, which everyone knows that. I think for me, I think the only time I've done a points and cash booking, at least like on purpose, obviously if I don't have enough points, or if I want to do
Mm-hmm.
kind of special occasion and do something like a suite where I like to save my points because I've been more of an advocate of that unless you I don't know who does it. There are some people here, but I'm not one of them. But if you earn more travel points than the money you've earned, then by all means, like I would say, use more points. But if you are like
Yeah.
me, where I don't earn enough points for the money I make, then your points are more valuable. So combination of cash bookings or being more easy with your points are the ways I go. So I want to make that because I know we've talked about that. You can do the transfer of city to Choice at a 1 to 2, and then use
Yep.
short points to transfer it at prefer, which you can actually check the bookings. And I think I showed you there's some good value. I
Yeah.
told someone I found Tokyo 15,000 points for a property. It's not bad. And Tokyo, from my experience, is very expensive. So if you can get a property in Tokyo, not somewhere like off the path, 15,000,
Mm-hmm.
that's a great value for Tokyo because you're not going to find anything in Tokyo right now for like less than $200 a night. Even like the cheap independent ones. So if you can get cheap points like that, like that's a great
Mm-hmm.
value. I know it's digressing, but I know it's just kind of an advocate of using your points and taking advantage of what is a big that I prefer thing on paper looks like a good value, but like I said, you don't know unless everything's been kind of vetted, I guess. I don't know if you had
That's
anything to say.
true. No, that's true. That's true. Um, Yeah, I agree. You said a couple things during that is one, have a plan. Two, vet these things out before these programs decide to devalue points. And three, like get it while it's good at the end of the day. I mean, I think you're saying the same thing, but get it while you can. And in my opinion, it makes no sense to just like hold on to these points if you're not spending them at a rate that you're earning them. Because they're time and time again, blue, green, choice, Hyatt devalues every single Q2. These points devalue. So get these properties while you can. Lock in the prices today. Stay later if you need to. Not saying you need to do all these trips today, but oftentimes you can book these well in advance. I'll put choice with an asterisk. You got only a 100-day calendar there, but all the other ones you usually book about a year out. So get it while it's good.
Yeah, that's good too, because advanced booking is a good plan. You can definitely do it for Marriott and Hilton. I've showed it with Hyatt. I think though I don't know specifically how it's different with Marriott and at Hilton, but I know with Hyatt you can do it with status. I think with Marriott and I think Hilton maybe you don't have to be status to do it, but I know for Hyatt you do. And I know for Hyatt, like I said, you can do it X amount of times before the evaluation, and then when you cancel, they don't charge you anything. So I do that for all my bookings with Hyatt. Like I've done one before devaluations, and then like I'll even book like all inclusives, and then I'll just cancel it because I'm just like, oh, I don't, I'm not going to go to it, but for the points and I could have saved it. But in the end, so I know that's a really good hack too, to do more advanced bookings for like just being very, mindful, and then also too for devaluations. I think that's one of the bigger things with the hotel points.
Okay. Yeah, I completely agree. My last tip that I want to share though, just to bring us back to the tips and tricks is you asked me earlier if I plan vacations and stuff around going to some of these presentations. I purposely dodged the question because I didn't want to give my tip away right away. But these presentations, they're often very flexible and there's really no blackout date, right? Because their end goal is to try to sell you. They don't, knock on wood, they don't really care if it's the day before Christmas or if it's New Year's or whenever. So I say all that to say, if there's maybe something that you're planning, maybe it's a bachelorette party. I mean, you probably wouldn't want to do that, right? Go to a timeshare presentation or a bachelorette party, but like something like that, right? Maybe it's like an event in town, Taylor Swift, or, some of these things that cause the economics of things to astronomically increase. Buy one of these timeshare presentations, perhaps, and book it for that kind of time period, right? So let's just say the concert's on Sunday. Maybe you're going to stay in a place like Monday, Tuesday. You can do that presentation on Monday, Tuesday, and not on the Sunday. So you can still enjoy your concert. You paid, I don't know, $99 to $250 for the 4-night stay, 3-night stay. And you still get to do whatever you're going to do in town. Formula One is in Las Vegas. If that's your jam, like it's my jam, perhaps I should have did my presentation in about 2 weeks when they're going to be in town. Could have did my presentation. Maybe could have stood along the route. Maybe could have just heard the cars. You're definitely going to feel the cars going by. So something to keep in mind. And that's my tip is do some planning. Doesn't always have to be a holiday or spring break or whatever. Think outside of the box a little when it comes to some of these redemptions and making this work for you. These presentations work for you.
It's a good point, Key, because I know someone at NOLA did the same thing, right? There was one individual who literally did a timeshare for like the Labor Day weekend. So like
exactly
what you said, because we all know that when you do a Formula One or you do when you go to a football game, when you stay the hotel rates spike up not only in the points but also the cash, and to be cost effective, like if you do a timeshare, like you've got a fixed rate. You've got a fixed rate on where you're staying, and like I said, Taylor Swift is a great example. And so I mean, that's a really good point, because in the end, like you don't want to pay more for an inflated hotel at a Taylor Swift or a football game. So
yeah. So all in all, I think we had at least 5 tips. These are just the ones I remember, just to do a quick recap here. 1, before you even go, negotiate these offers. Negotiate what they're going to offer you for your time of attending these presentations. Try and get gift cards. Try to negotiate wherever you're going to stay. Negotiate how many points you're going to get, so on and so forth. 2, stacking opportunities. Think about the Chase offers. Think about Amex offers if those are applicable. Wells Fargo also has some good deals, but think about adding those to your card before purchasing the timeshare, and then perhaps purchase the timeshare on a card that has a, I'll say, travel reimbursement type credit. US Bank Altitude Reserve, the Chase Sapphire Reserve are the ones that are coming to mind that are more flexible with their travel credit, but there's a lot out here. Michael, I saw you want to say something?
Oh, no, I think those are
Okay,
good
cool.
points. Like I said, you're maximizing your spend and getting travel points. I mean, that's the way to go. I mean, geez.
Yeah, cool. 3, 4, and 5 is have a plan for the rewards. Michael talked a little bit about that. And even I think we both touched on it, right? It makes no sense to have millions and millions of points if you don't have millions and millions of ideas to use them up. So use them up before they devalue. In my opinion, I evaluate the costs. How much does it cost to buy these points outright that I'm going to receive for attending this presentation? Hopefully there's a very big delta. I kind of showed on the screen, it was $500 for the 70,000 choice points if I would have purchased them without going to the presentation. But instead I paid $250 or $270, 4-night stay, Las Vegas. I did the presentation. I got the 70,000 points. And last but not least, evaluate when you want to go. Plan this around some of the events that may cause hotel rates to significantly skyrocket. I use Taylor Swift as an example, but I don't know, Super Bowl, maybe you just want to be in town. You're not even going to the game. Again, maybe you want to just hit that presentation, be in that environment, right? If that's your jam. So that's really all I got. Michael, you got anything before we let everybody go? Appreciate everyone's time. Appreciate your time.
No, I'll reiterate that same tip. Like I said, if you have status, or like I said, if you're staying at one brand and you stay at another, a great stacking opportunity to get elite night in points. And like if you have status, use that to your advantage because they may upgrade you to even a better room than you already have, whether it's oceanfront or I don't know. I think the IHG one, I got like a 2-bedroom, whatever. So like it just depends. Like I said, just use your status and also think about stacking because that's one thing I've done. I didn't do it on purpose, but if you can, why not? Because at the point you're paying, I paid $250 for 3 Hilton nights and gold status and credit. Like that's a win-win. So it was also on top of I think one of those 2K, per night, whatever things. So it was like even like a triple stack. So it was just crazy.
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. So
okay, like a promotion with the hotel itself.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Yep.
that's crazy.
With you. Yeah, that is crazy. Awesome. Listen, Michael, please tell everybody your YouTube channel so they can follow you if they haven't already.
Yeah, my YouTube handle is right there at jwong3. You can find me on youtube.com. She'll leave the link in the post. Like I said, I do a channel on credit cards, travel, and also feel free to also subscribe to Key Radio if you haven't already. It's been a great chat about timeshares, credit card points, and miles, and we definitely appreciate everyone joining and listening to what we want to bring out today on timeshares.
Absolutely. Definitely, if you're watching the replay of this, I'm going to just tell you in advance, go ahead and grab your notebook, watch this bad boy a couple times. You're definitely going to learn something maybe you didn't know. But both Michael and I are pretty active in the Anthony Venture Discord. So if you have any questions after this, feel free to drop them in the comments section. Or if you want to even be more anonymous, go ahead, reach out to us in the Anthony Venture Discord. Make sure you join that. So many good creators in that thing. And you'll be aware of all the upcoming meetups. So including New Orleans, Puerto Rico, etc. Michael, thank you so much for your time. You're a legend when it comes to this stuff. I learned so much about the presentations from Michael, about some of these offers from Michael. So thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, everyone.
All right. Bye for now.
Bye.